10 things every motorcycle enthusiast should know about the 2022 KTM 1290 Super Adventure S. The KTM 1290 Super Adventure S is a high-performance adventure machine that's always up for some fun. The 2022 KTM 1290 Super Adventure S is a brand new offering from the KTM stable and is here to thrill the adventure touring enthusiasts with the enticing performance and unmatched on-road and off-road riding experience. Being a more road-focused motorcycle in comparison to the 2022 KTM 1290 Super Adventure R, it is a bit more comfortable than the latter too. The spot-on ergonomics are carried forward as well. Launched at a base MSRP of $19,499, the 2022 KTM 1290 Super Adventure S ticks almost all the right boxes for any large-capacity adventurer tourer rider. The V-twin motor has got a massive amount of torque, and it comes at a very low RPM. The slick shifting transmission, semi-active suspension system, and all the features and rider aids make it superior to the offerings like the Triumph Tiger 1200 and the BMW R1250 GS. Here are 10 things every motorcycle enthusiast should know about the 2022 KTM 1290 Super Adventure S10. The V-twin motor has a surreal amount of torque. The 2022 KTM 1290 Super Adventure S comes with the proven V-twin LC 875° 1301cc liquid-cooled motor and produces close to 160 horsepower and 101 pound-feet of torque. This is a double overhead cam motor and has a compression ratio of 13.1:1. This motor comes mated to a 6-speed gearbox which gets a slip and assist system and an optional up and down quickshifter. KTMs are known for their brutal acceleration, and the same could be seen from the 1290 Adventure S as well. The motor is fierce, and the acceleration is a notch above the likes of the Triumph Tiger 1200 and the BMW R1250 GS. The motor revs cleanly to 10,000 RPM and the performance never tapers off. The 6-speed gearbox is slick and smooth too. 9. Handling is a notch above other adventure tourers. Being an adventure tourer, many of the riders who swing their legs across the 2022 KTM 1290 Super Adventure S would expect it to be a watered-down motorcycle in terms of handling and riding dynamics. However, this is far from the truth. The trellis frame with an aluminum subframe is very rigid, and the motorcycle could corner like some of the supersports out there. The Mitas Terra Force R front and rear tires coupled with a very modern and sophisticated fully adjustable semi-active suspension setup mean that the 2022 KTM 1290 Super Adventure S is unlike any other motorcycle around the corners. It dips into the corner with ease, maintains the line very well, and could exit the corner with effortless acceleration. 8. You can ride all day long on the freeways. Being an expensive adventure tourer, KTM has focused more on its touring abilities. The 2022 KTM 1290 Super Adventure S has managed to get all the qualities of an adventure tourer, and that has to be due to the wide handlebar and the perfect ergonomics on offer. The motorcycle is very spacious for both the rider and pillion too. Apart from that, the semi-active suspension setup is a boon as the rider could choose between multiple riding modes. When set to the road mode, the throttle response is not very sharp and that makes the ride even more comfortable. The ride quality remains flat and composed, and the motor feels relaxed at the freeway speeds. There is no heating and the wind buffeting is cut down with the help of a long and wide windscreen. 7. City riding may not be very pleasant. With a seat height of 33.4 for the rider and 34.2 for the pillion, the 2022 KTM 1290 Super Adventure S is not going to be very easy to ride in the cities, especially for the shorter folks. Also, like most of the other KTMs, the 1290 Super Adventure S has a very stiff seat, making it quite uncomfortable. The high compression ratio V-twin motor is not the most refined motor out there, and the NVH level is a notch below the rivals of the segment. The suspension system is not the plushest of the lot and the ride does get a bit jarring. The heavy curb weight of 522 pounds makes the U-turns and filtering through the city traffic very cumbersome. 6. Off-road performance is impressive. Put the motorcycle into the off-road mode and the 2022 KTM 1290 Super Adventure S gets very light and nimble. The suspension, which was a bit firm in the normal road mode, completely changes its characteristics in the off-road mode. Even the throttle response dulls down, which would help significantly in the slush and sand. The handle gets nimble and the quick direction changes could be done with ease. The rear end kicks out at times when given throttle, and that helps in sliding through the corners with poise. The rear end never kicks out heavily and the motorcycle is very stable through the off-road section. The heating is pretty manageable too. 5. Easily the most feature-packed motorcycle of its segment. The 2022 KTM 1290 Super Adventure S gets all the relevant features that you need to make the ride easier and safer. When it comes to the engine section, this adventure tourer gets a PASC clutch system, DLC-coded components, ride-by-wire technology, and many more. They make this KTM fast and sharp to ride, both on road and off-road. The semi-active suspension system sourced from WP, steering dampers, anti-lock braking system, etc. helps in improving the handling and braking of the motorcycle. Other features like illuminated switchgear, windshield, LED headlight with LED DRL, a 7 inches TFT display, USB phone pocket, cruise control, traction control, keyless go system, riding modes, TPMS, KTM My Ride app integration, and many more are standard too. 4. Braking performance is excellent. The braking hardware that is present in the 2022 KTM 1290 Super Adventure S is more than enough to stop the motorcycle with ease. The front end comes with the 320mm twin disc with radially mounted 4-piston Brembo brake calipers, and the rear gets a 267mm single disc setup with a 2-piston Brembo caliper. Cornering ABS comes as standard too. The front brakes are very sharp and have all the qualities that we love from the other KTM motorcycles. The initial bite is spot on, and so is the progression on offer. The ABS doesn't kick in too early and the brake lever offers an excellent feel and feedback too. Even the rear brakes do a wonderful job in stopping this heavy motorcycle, with more than enough stopping power. 3. Imposing road presence. The massive ground clearance and the sharp design language of the 2022 KTM 1290 Super Adventure S make it very different from the other adventure tourers that are available at the same price bracket. Coming in 2 color palettes, orange and black, the 1290 Super Adventure S looks like nothing on the road, and hence the road presence is unmatched. The signature LED headlight of the Duke series is taken to the 1290 Super Adventure S. The wide handlebar, massive windscreen, and tall proportions add to the character. When viewed from the sides and rear, the stubby exhaust, exposed trellis frame components, and the masculine tank are highlighted very well. The rear end gets an LED setup too. 2. Dual radiators keep the heat under control. One of the major deterrents of most of the motorcycles from the KTM stable has to be the heat emitted from the motor. They also tend to cook up the legs of the riders, making it quite uncomfortable for city riding. However, the 2022 KTM 1290 Super Adventure S is quite different from this. Even though this adventure tourer motorcycle comes with a high compression motor, the dual radiator does a wonderful job in extracting the heat from the cylinders. The heat is not directed to the legs too. However, at the peak rush hour traffic, the engine does throw a bit of heat. But this doesn't make the ride painful like some of the other offerings from the KTM. 1. The impressive motor and chassis keeps the vibrations in check. KTM has worked quite well in the NVH department and that could be felt the moment you start riding. Coming with a parallel twin motor with the highest compression ratio of the segment, the 2022 KTM 1290 Super Adventure S hides the noise, heat, and harshness emitted from the motor pretty well. Most of the touch points like the handlebar, foot pegs, and mirrors come rubber mounted and that helps to control the vibrations very well. The digital instrument cluster is fixed to the mount properly and doesn't rattle like the smaller motorcycle from KTM. The motor gets a counterbalance too, and that is one of the reasons why the motor emits very little vibrations.